Hey everyone, welcome to Can't Afford to Record, the YouTube channel where we figure out the art of audio production together. I am predominantly a mixing engineer. People send me the recorded audio, I put it together with their vision and maybe some references to music they like, and hopefully we get a great sounding mix. And when it comes to recording audio, I have a Focusrite 18i20 interface, which is perfect for me and the size of the room that I work in, which as you can see is a pretty small room, but perfect to mix in for me. And if a singer wanted to come around and record some vocals, or perhaps somebody wanted to record an acoustic instrument, you know, we could do it in here, but that's pretty much it. So because I'm not actively miking up bands or really practicing, you know, real audio engineering, I went to see my good friend Cory Bergeron at Pebble Studios for a little brush up in signal flow knowledge and how it's understood in a commercial recording studio.
Hey, what's up? My name's Cory Bergeron, and we are here at Pebble Studios. I am the studio manager of this recording studio, and this is like a pro commercial recording studio. In a home recording environment, to get signal from a microphone into your computer generally looks like plugging in the microphone, plugging an XLR cable into a interface, and that interface plugs in via USB to your computer. And if you use input 1, you set input 1 in your DAW, and signal goes through, everything works. The same thing can be said in a pro studio, but you have a lot more flexibility and a lot more functionality. And if you're running a complicated session where you have drums set up, you have guitars, you have bass, you have vocals, if something goes wrong, you have to understand every single patch point and how to troubleshoot it. Gear-wise, behind me we have the SSL console, and that is essentially the heart of the studio. It has 24 preamps, each channel strip has an EQ, and then it has 2 dynamic strips. To my left over here is the patch bay, and every single thing that is in this recording studio runs through the patch bay. So there's some outboard gear in front of me. Every in and out of here, there's a cable directly going from there, goes under the floor, goes to the patch bay. We have the SSL console behind me, and every single patch point on the back comes out with cabling, goes into the patch bay. To my left, we have a live room. There's a patch panel in there so we can plug microphones in the live room, and that cabling goes under the floor and goes to the patch bay. And then at the patch bay, we can essentially take the signal from one place, bring it to another, and that is how everything is routed in the studio. Today we're going to be running through some signal flow exercises to get Robby up to speed and feeling really comfortable so he can run a big session himself. That was awesome. Dude, holy shit, I was on fire. So we're going to make our way into the live room here, and we are going to grab a microphone, we're going to plug it in, and that's where we're going to start. So follow me. This is our modest size live room. And then back here, we have ISO A, and it's very poorly lit. Grab a trusty 57. What I like to do when I'm doing like signal flow exercises is I like to leave my phone in the live room, just like blasting music. So we have like a sound source that we can capture with a microphone. So over here we have the patch panel. So you can see that we have 1 through 24, and those are all essentially inputs that show up on the patch bay. So we get signal from the microphone is outputting a signal through this cable, and then we can patch it into here. So we're going to just patch it into 10 for no good reason, and now it's essentially routed to the patch bay. So we're back in the control room. We just plugged a microphone into input 10 on the patch panel there, and right now I'm in front of the patch bay. So if you want to come over here, I can give you just a quick breakdown. It looks a little overwhelming, but as you can see, everything is clearly labeled. And as I mentioned previously in this video, every single piece of equipment routes here. Over by the outboard gear, we have an LA2A, so it's physically over there, but I can look at the patch bay over here, and I can see that this is the input of the LA2A, and this is the output of the LA2A. So if I wanted to send a signal into that LA2A, I would take it, I would send it in, and then I would take it out, and then I can choose the destination of where that signal is going. So whenever I'm talking about this or I'm explaining it to anyone, you always want to know where your signal is at in the signal chain process. So I'm going to create an exercise for Robby, and Robby's going to go through, and it's going to be his job to patch what I create.
Okay, Cory, what have you got for me?
Okay, so in front of me, I have the Pebble Studios input list. It's commonplace in studios to have an input list, and this allows you to get organized and essentially write down the signal flow of every single source that you have, so you can always refer to it I can fill it out, hand it to someone else. They can patch everything else in. This is an essential part of running an organized session. So what I'm going to do with this today is I'm going to make a signal chain, and I'm going to essentially hand this sheet to Robby, and it is Robby's duty to patch it in perfectly. And this is just an exercise in understanding signal flow. I'm going to go input 10 here. And then for the instrument, we have YouTube music. It's my laptop. It's out there. We are going to use a microphone that is an SM57. We are going to use SSL preamp. Let's go with 20. I would like to put the 1176 compressor in the chain. And then coming back into the converter, I want to be on input 6. Okay, so one more time from the top, we're going to use input 10. The instrument, the source, is my laptop that's blasting music out there on the live floor. We're going to mic it up with a 57. I want that to go into the preamp of channel 20 on the SSL console. We're going to route it out of the preamp, after the preamp, into the 1176. And then from there, I want to route that directly into converter input 6.
Let's take it.
That's what you meant? You don't want to hold hands? You're going to leave that in there.
Okay, so I've got to put all this together, and let's just see how I do here. So first thing is we are coming in on the live room input 10. So I better get a cable here, studio floor 10. So now I need to go to the SSL pre 20. So I believe that's going to go input 10 to 20. Okay. Then outboard gear is 1176. So we'll grab another cable, and then this is going to be on an insert send. So outboard, so we'll go SSL mic pre 20, send to 1176 in, okay, and then we need to come out of the 1176, back to, I don't know if this is definitely right. Well, we're going to find out. Back into SSL insert send.
Just real quick, what's the name of that one?
SSL insert return. Okay, thank you. And then the other thing though is we need to, and I'm totally thinking on my feet here, go from the SSL also into the Orion, which gets it into our laptop. So I'm going to just go for total shot in the dark, SSL, line out 20 into input 10. I don't know. How did I do, Cory?
That last move there.
Oh, man, okay.
Describe what you did.
Okay, so I kind of figured we wanted to take the signal we have from the SSL and to get it into our converter. So that's why I did SSL channel line out.
And what input?
I went into 10.
Okay. Why'd you do that?
Because I just picked a number, but maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe it should be 20.
What does the sheet say?
Dang it!
And then from there, I want to route that directly into converter input 6.
So there you go. That's a great example. It should have been into 6 because that is what my instructions were, and perhaps I would have been sent home early for the day if I didn't recognize that. So now is it all good now?
I think so. I will say you went at that with ferocious speed. The signal flow in a signal chain is always linear, meaning it's going step by step, in a row, one after the other after the other after the other. I shouldn't say always, but in a case like this, the mic is, you're trying to get input from the mic into the computer. So it's going to start somewhere, it's going to end somewhere. So you can always troubleshoot your signal chain by just going from one spot to the next, to the next, to the next, identifying that everything is correct along the way. So we're going to start from the top. So I said we want to go on input 10. We patch the mic in together, so I know that the microphone is patched into input 10, which comes up on the patch bay here. It's called Studio Floor XLR. So this is great. And then I wanted to take that signal and I wanted to send that to the SSL mic pre 20. So that brings us to the channel strip over here, and I have the preamp just past half. We're getting some healthy signal. So in my mind, that's working. I could also go ahead and listen to it and just make sure that's coming in clean, but let's keep on moving forward here. The next thing in the chain here is we want to patch into the 1176, which is the compressor. So this is all logical. You always want to hit your preamp and then you want to hit your compressor because you want that mic signal to get up to a line level. We have the SSL insert, send, and return. Just like the preamp, I like to get quick feedback, visual feedback to make sure that things are working correctly. First thing I'm noticing is it's not on. So we're going to want to turn this on. The light's dead on this. I'm going to just put the attack and release super fast and start turning up the input. That should be moving. That needle should be moving. Send into 1176, return into 1176. That's good. On the channel strip, you'll want to engage the insert, send, and return. So for the sake of this exercise, I just cranked the preamp volume, and we can see on this meter here, we're getting way more juice now. And if I look at the 1176, I have it set, it's a fixed threshold compressor, and I have the input all the way up with the attack fast and the release fast. So that is what that meter should look like. Right now it's pinned. So if I ease off on this, we'll start to see it come down. And again, this is working logically. This is how I would expect this to operate. I'm getting visual feedback that it's working. Again, you can always listen to it, make sure it sounds the way that you want. But if we're just doing a line check to make sure that the patching and the signal flow is correct, this is working. I had to engage this insert, send, and return. The way that this console and this channel strip works is it actually does send the signal to the 1176 if it's not engaged, but it's not going to take the return. The compressor is working, but it's actually not in the chain. So you might get visual feedback that it's working, but it's actually not in the chain until you put the insert in. This is essentially like a bypass button. If you're looking at it like a plugin, it's like you're taking it out of the chain, it is bypassed. Now it is physically in the chain. The signal is coming out, it's going into the 1176, and it's returning back into the channel strip at this point. And we'll move on to the next part. If we look at channel 20 here, we can see that the fader is up, which means the signal is coming out at unity out of the console. And it's coming out at line level, and that comes out at the patch point here of the SSL channel line out on channel 20. So you did that correctly, and then you took that signal and you patched it into the IO in number 6, which is what we wanted on here. The next thing to test it is to see if it's going in the dock. So we're going to look at Reaper here. I'm going to record engage this, and then I'm going to set it to number 6 because that's where we have it patched. And if I've done this correctly, there should be signal coming through. Hey! Okay, so we're getting signal in, and again, just for fun here, if I turn the output up, we get more signal. If I turn the output down, we get less signal. So we know that everything is working in the chain, everything's patched correctly, and then you can move on to the next thing that you got to patch.
Huge thank you to Cory and Pebble Studios for such a thorough explanation on signal flow. It was super interesting and helpful to see the start and the finish of an audio chain. And if I'm being really honest, it's given me great appreciation for what our common throw and go interfaces do for us these days. But I love the flexibility of being able to send some audio to different pieces of hardware, you know, for the creativity side of things, or maybe trying classic, you know, preamp and compressor combos that we hear on our favorite songs. So understanding a patch bay inside and out for sure will create hours and hours of fun, possibly some headaches too, but for sure mostly fun. Thanks so much for watching the video today. If you liked it, you're more than welcome to leave me a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. And if you like it more than that, then you're more than welcome to subscribe right here on Can't Afford to Record. And I'll see you soon.